Welcome back to the KO'D Convo. I am here. I am honestly honored to be here with a three-time NBA champion, former All-Star, earned All-Rookie NBA All-Rookie team honors when he was a rookie with the Knicks, Mr. Bill Cartwright. Mr. Cartwright, how are you?
I am doing outstanding. It's an outstanding day. We're here in San Francisco. You can't get any better than that.
Exactly. So let's dive right into it. I mean, everybody knows you for your career with the Bulls, but what a lot of people don't really comprehend or fully understand is you spent many years with the Knicks when you got drafted by him.
I spent more years with the Knicks than any other team. I was fortunate when I left school. I got drafted by the Knicks, and at that point in time, we had a great coach with Red Holzman. I had a chance, very fortunate to play with Earl Monroe and Marvin Webster. Great teammates with these guys you're probably not going to know: Joe C. Merriweather, Mike Glenn, and played with some crazy guys with Michael Ray Richardson and Ray Williams, and it was just a great opportunity to go to a young team. It was a great opportunity to play, and it was really interesting because that year, our starting center, Marvin Webster, got sick. And so I was starting now. I was like, wow, man, I'm going to start. And that year I actually led or was second in the league in minutes played. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. I was really tired, but it was a great experience.
Right, and that was the lone year you got the All-Star nod, and one of three rookies to play in that All-Star game was you, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson, excuse me, which is pretty tremendous to be fair. How was that game?
I was pretty tired. I did score 8 points in that game. Yeah, I can't remember how I scored them, but it was fun. It was fun. It was a great experience. Magic and I came out of the same draft. And actually, Larry, interesting enough, a great vision by the Celtics. He's a year older than me. So the Celtics, now think about this, they drafted him a year ahead. That's how smart those suckers are. They drafted him a year ahead and ended up getting him. But that was really the start of the NBA and branding, getting back to making the NBA the good guys.
There you go. So obviously you went 2 years, your first 2 years injury free, and then obviously you had some unfortunate issues with your foot, and then sort of like the New York luck came through and they were able to get Patrick Ewing with the number 1 pick of the draft. And Matt, just talk to us about how that chemistry, how that sort of worked out, because you both are natural centers, but then the coach there tried to put you in as power forward, I believe. Could you talk about that chemistry a little bit and how that tried to work out?
Well, it was an interesting time. I mean, it wasn't a test because I did play 2 straight years, didn't miss a game. And then I can remember I was working out that summer and I stepped on a little rock. And so instead of taking some time off, I just continued to work out and run. And so that little rock ended up being a stress fracture that actually put me out for like a year and a half until I was able to get a pin put in. So I go from being an Iron Man to being like injury prone. So, and it was a hard time because Red was there for 3 years, and then once Red left, we got UB Brown, and our team was playing fine, and then injuries just kind of sunk in again, and then we ended up getting Patrick Ewing, and I did play with Patrick for a little bit when UB was there. And it was a test. It was interesting. Patrick was young, raw. Believe me, the guy couldn't make a 10-foot jump shot, but he was just a hard-working guy. And Patrick and I developed a great relationship for practice because when we first got there, I spent a lot of time with him, telling him, "Hey, look, you and I are going to have a lot of collisions together. It's not personal. We're going to make each other better." And from that day, we had a great relationship, a great time playing together. But really, because of the fact that we were not winning, especially after UB Brown was let go, they had they wanted to get young again. So it's not that I was old. I was like, 29. But they needed to get the young guys in there. So it was guys like Patrick and Kenny Walker and Mark Jackson. And it was just a group of young guys. And once UB got let go, and they brought Bob Hill in for that rest of that season, they brought Rick Pitino in. He was another interesting character. So we were all young, and fortunately, with the grace of God, that year, after my 9th year in New York, I got traded to Chicago.
Right. I mean, Pitino's up-tempo style certainly tires some athletes, doesn't it?
Well, I don't think it was the tiring. I just think that when you have NBA players, most of them can make plays. And if you're going to press and do all that kind of stuff, you're challenging your opponent to be able to handle the ball, move the ball to the floor quickly, and make a 15-foot shot. So that didn't work too well in the NBA because all those guys can make 15-foot shots and more. So, and they're not going to turn the ball over. So that style of basketball is not going to work, not in the NBA.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the trade to Chicago. June 27, 1988, you get traded for Charles Oakley and a bunch of picks. Oakley's one of Jordan's most loved teammates, right? He absolutely loved Oakley, and notoriously he very public that he didn't like you coming in. Talk to me about your reaction to the trade, about the trade with Chicago, and what kind of getting settled there was really like.
Well, for me, if you know my personality, I had just spent 9 years in New York. Nothing's going to bother me, not one single thing. So it didn't really matter who liked what, didn't care. My best friend, it didn't mean anything to me. I was coming in to play. I had our coach at that point in time was Doug Collins, who was great. The general manager was Jerry Krause, who was great. And I was just focused on getting myself ready to play. And you got to remember, all these guys are younger than me. And the way I grew up, if these guys are younger than me, they have to show me something. I'm not there to impress them. That's how I grew up. So I was there ready to play. I was going to be myself. If somebody didn't like it, I don't care. It didn't bother me. But what I did find out is that it was a great experience. Now think about this. We had a young Horace Grant. We had a young Scottie Pippen. John Paxson had just gotten there. And we were raw. We were a real raw team, but we're really, really talented. And we happen to have the best player in the league. So it was a great challenge. So after that first season, Doug Collins got let go. They hired Phil Jackson. We had a great coaching staff with Tex Winter, Johnny Bach, and Jim Clemens, who I had played with in New York. So I was really comfortable. within the guys that were there. We had a great strength and conditioning coach with Al Vermeil. Now, Al Vermeil is Dick Vermeil's brother. And at that point in time, he was the best strength and conditioning coach on the planet. He still may be. He's the only strength and conditioning coach that has a championship ring in professional football, baseball, and basketball. So physically, I was never better, stronger. I was doing running drills. I'm like doing running drills. I'm like, I didn't know there was a way to run. Are you kidding me? So it was great. It was just great. I was learning a lot. I was having a great time. We had great guys there. Really, really positive energy. So it was a special time. But think about this. I was like the old guy, and I was like 30, 31. So I could still move around. I was still having some fun.
Yeah. Certainly, we're still doing it. And what was it like, kind of transitioning from the early stages in New York, from where you had to scoring a lot, to being surrounded by all these weapons and really just being able to just do your job and do it efficiently?
Yeah, when I first got into the league, I was a scorer. And that's the big thing about sports, the big thing about basketball is to kind of know where you fit in and where you're most valuable. And then hopefully your coaches, your peers can appreciate what you do well to allow your team to win. And that's exactly what happened in New York. My role was I was going to be a defender first, to be able to guard my guy, which is why I got traded, is because they had a really tough time guarding the centers and the big guys. And then second, I was a scorer after that. So my role changed, and it was fine because, like you said, I had already established myself in the league. I wasn't worried about anything. I didn't have to worry about being a scorer. I'd already been that. I didn't have to worry about being on the AllStar team. I'd already done that. The only thing that I hadn't had was to be on a championship team. So that was really my focus. And we're really lucky, fortunate enough to have a group, GM, coaches, players that appreciated what I did. So, like I said, it was a special time.
Absolutely. And this was a quote after you got promoted to be the head coach of the Bulls, but I kind of want to take it back. So guard Fred Hoiberg said about you, he's going to bring that attitude to the court, and he let us know that. And I kind of want to talk about that attitude for a bit, because there's videos everywhere of you putting Rodman in a headlock, scraping Isaiah Thomas's eyes, stuff like that. What about that Chicago Bulls attitude really set you guys apart from the rest, especially in that like rivalry with the Pistons over the years?
Well, I think there's a consistency and a constant that as a sports fan, you don't have to know what's going on. You don't have to know anything about sports. The only thing you have to know is that team competes. And that's all people really want to see. They want to see effort. So if I can get more effort out of my team than the other team, regardless of talent, we've got a chance to win most of our games. So when I'm with the Bulls, that's what we got. We got serious effort. Now we got really smart coaches and got a great game plan. But the big thing is that what you remember most of all, anybody, any sport, you're like, wow, look at that effort. And that's all I would really ever ask for. The focus, the effort, everything else will take care of itself. So that's what I really love about sports, is to see guys get out-competed, guys who are willing to make that first strike, that first blow, people who are tough, and some people who are smart, tricky. Because as an athlete, I never felt that I was a great athlete, but I always felt that I was tricky. trickier than the other guy, because that was my game. So, but that's what the Chicago Bulls are all about. It's about competing. It's about not offense. It's about defense. And it's funny because you'll see in every sport, it doesn't matter. Talk football, they'll talk about the quarterback. Basketball, they'll talk about offense. Baseball, how many runs you score? No. Sports is all about how you're going to guard and how you're going to get stops. If I've got the best defensive team in the league, I'm going to win. I'm going to win a lot. If I can't guard, as they used to Rockets, can't guard, you're not going to win. You're not going anywhere. So, we always had that in Chicago of toughness, being able to guard, and having a great system and being a little smart, a little tricky.
Right. So you're telling me James Harden going pick and roll 70 times a game isn't going to win?
It's kind of confusing. I think that that kind of philosophy and people's thoughts, you want to tell them, we're not swimming, we're not playing golf, and you're not playing tennis. You're playing a team sport. The best team shall win. So once you figure that out, and certainly if there's a place at the end of the game, last 5 minutes, my best player better step up and make a play. But the big thing is that the best players that I've ever played with makes their team mates better. Now, when you have that guy, you're gonna have a lot of wins. So it's just interesting. Sports is really interesting, and people's thoughts, I think, are interesting. But it's a sport.
It certainly is a sport. Is there anyone, kind of going forward real fast, is there any modern, because I know the game's evolved so much, is there any sort of modern day center that you could say, oh, this guy really reminds me of the centers back in the day?
Well, the only reason that that's hard to answer is because not a lot of guys throw the ball at the post. And it's either out of just confusion or they just don't know how to do it. Look, basketball has always evolved into something else. Up-tempo, some teams shoot threes, but it's never happened that teams don't play off the post anymore, which is there's no other word for it other than dumb. So my belief that it will come back around once some team that's really good, because it's such a copycat league, some team's going to win a championship and throw it to the post, and everybody's going to say, hey, this is genius. We got post-ups again. So and the big thing is is that post-ups are for everybody. You have to be a big guy, guards, doesn't matter. Just your best post guy. Whoever's got an advantage down there, you throw it to them. Maybe you're on the penalty, you throw it to them. You see me ranting here a little bit? Throwing it to the post.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
Well, I know Shaq certainly is very, Shaquille O'Neal is certainly very vocal about the fact that the centers died, and all the time on TNT, he's always trying to incorporate as much center talk as he can. But you're right, it does seem pretty hard. So anyway, so after the Bulls, right, you played under Phil Jackson, but then you came back to the University of San Francisco, got your degree, but then Jerry Krause, the general manager, stickler as he is, right, asked you to come back, but you weren't planning on coming back and coaching, were you?
I was not. I was going to be, after my genius, I was going to decided after all those years of thinking about it that I was going to be a McDonald's operator. And that's really what I was going to do. I was headed to go to McDonald's U. I had already met with the people at McDonald's. I was really excited. And then I got a phone call from Jerry Krause. And I had been coaching some my kids. I loved it. So I kind of viewed that as kind of being led back to coaching, or being led back to the NBA. So I ended up, we were in Sacramento, we ended up moving back to Chicago, and I actually coached on the last two championship teams. So it was great. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from Phil. I learned a lot from a guy who would be my mentor and coaching, which was Tex Winter. Amazing man. And guys like Frank Hamlin and Jimmy Clemens was still there, and Johnny Bach was there, and he left. So just a lot of really great basketball minds, great thoughts. It was fun. It was a great experience, and I was very, very fortunate to have Jerry ask me to come back. And he played such a huge role in my life. Not only did he trade for me to come to Chicago, now he's bringing me back and to coach. So he really had a huge influence in my life.
Yeah, what was it like being a coach under Phil and being a player under Phil? Are there a lot more similarities than people think?
Well, just, Phil was great. Phil was just nothing but great to me. I learned a lot from him. And probably the biggest thing I learned from him was how mindful he is in the way he speaks. Because you're together every day, and you've got to be, as a coach, really careful how you choose your words so that everything's not so condemning. And it's more teaching, that to be able to say something of the effect that we're just going to do whatever it takes to make this guy a better player. And we have to do whatever we can do to make this guy better in this situation, so that it's not so damning, and it's not so dangerous words. So I really learned that lesson of being more mindful of how I spoke about situations, about things that I want to get better, and make it more about teaching than it is just more just condemning.
Right, more like informative feedback, right?
Yeah, as positive as you can. There's nothing like positive thoughts.
Right, and is that something you took, because I know you were big in mentoring some of the younger big men, such as the Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandlers, Elton Brands, so on and so forth. Was that philosophy something you really took to heart and really tried to engage with the younger guys?
Yeah, well, even as a player, is that sometimes you come off the floor sometimes because basketball is so personal that you just need somebody to vent with. Just come on over and just vent it out. And a lot of times that'll do it, because then now you can kind of just clear your head and think about, it's going to be fine. We're going to go back and go in, and whatever happened, you can kind of correct. And that's what it's all about being a teammate. That's what it's about being a coach, to where you're basically trying to give them an understanding that you've got to have a balanced life, to where nothing's ever as bad as it looks like, and nothing is ever as good as it looks like.
Right.
And things can flip on a dime. So you just got to keep it balanced. You've got to have, even when I played, I had a ton of hobbies. I collected coins. I like 50s memorabilia. I played chess. Just to kind of occupy your mind. And then I can remember earlier on, some of my coaches used to talk about, and I never thought about it, because as an athlete, you get caught up in sports, to just read the paper, the front page, to see what's going on. And don't throw it away and just take the sports, but look and see what's going on. And make sure you handle your business because you're an adult now. And a lot of guys come to the league. A lot of guys never had a banking account. I never had any money to have a banking account, but now they do. So just to be able to handle your business, to be able to understand it, to be responsible, to write your own checks, and then just learn what it's like to be an adult. It's a pretty big deal. So just mentoring that way, and let alone to have a girlfriend or then now a spouse, that's a whole other deal. So you've got to be able to understand and think about what you're doing.
Right. So after you coached the Bulls, you became head coach for a little bit, but after that you coached with the Suns, you coached with the Nets, and then you went abroad and you coached both the Mexican national team and a team overseas in Japan. What was that experience going overseas? That is just something that's just an opportunity a lot of people don't get.
It's crazy, man. What am I doing over there? I don't speak Japanese. But it was a situation where I wasn't working. I just got done with Phoenix. And I happened to go to a basketball camp, and I ran into a guy who called me like a month later and asked me if I would come to Japan and take over a team, and we were 5-19. And I'm thinking, 5-19, I'm gonna be pretty lousy. So, but then again, it's a situation where I had always wanted to go to Japan, China, the Orient, kind of look around. And it was a great opportunity to do that. So I kind of viewed that as I was being led there. So once I got there, I found out that the team that I had was actually not bad. And we ended up winning like 10 games in a row. And got back in contention for the playoffs. I missed the playoffs by just a couple of games. But it was a great year. Just got to get myself, or got to really learn about the Japanese culture. And the people is just wonderful. Every single thing about my experience there was outstanding. And I'm just really blessed to have that time there. But they wanted me to stay, but it's just too far away.
Imagine.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So during your son's tenure, you helped out Stoudemire and Shaq. What was it like working with Shaq?
Both those guys are really special, really special. And Shaq is exactly the guy you see on TV. He's really funny. He's a funny guy. He's a good guy. When I got there, I just asked him to do one thing. I said, look, I want you to shoot a shot left-handed. So during the course of the game, and this was probably a couple weeks into the season, he dribbled the ball up and he dunked it left-handed, and he's running up the floor looking at his left hand. It was awesome. But that's him. He's having a great time. He's having fun. I didn't really know how hard he worked on his game, but as a coach, I used to come back at night, and he would come back and with one of his guys and do sit-ups or some stretches or something. But I'll tell you, he was a great pro. Really worked on himself. Teammates loved him. He's special. He's a special guy.
Right. I remember one time there was a video time during his son's tenure where he shot a free throw. He made it, but then he completely forgot that he had to come back to the second one. So he ran across the floor, celebrated, and then he made the free throw. But then he came back because someone told him that he had to shoot another one. He was so excited because he never he was rarely made free throws, as you know. But were you on the bench? Were you on the bench when the ball was coming towards the bench and Shaq was running towards it and everybody got out of the way? Were you on the bench for that or no?
That's actually happened more than once, and yes, you do just get out of the way. But yeah, it's usually not that bad. I'm a decent sized guy myself, so that's not going to really hurt me too much.
No, but I knew everyone else was super scared. Last thing I have to ask you is about the Last Dance documentary. Just your thoughts and how much you've watched of it and so on and so forth.
Well, I watched all of it. Yeah, basically because there's nothing else to watch. For me, it provided me great entertainment. It was a Michael Jordan highlight tape. It had nothing to do with our team. Some of our guys were not too happy, furious. But for me, I kind of enjoyed it. I was on the air, but like 4 times a week, just talking about it, laughing. But the big thing is what we talked about. Basketball is personal and it's team. So when you have a guy basically telling America the reason Chicago Bulls win 6 championships is because of me. And also, in my time in New York, in the 4 years I was there as a player, now I had over 30 teammates. Think about this, 30. How many teammates is this guy mentioning? Your teammates. My teammates are like my family, and you want to take care of them. You want to make sure they get their due. If you didn't know better, you would think they won no championships. It was a great time to celebrate. It was this really, really special time. And think about this. We had a special owner. We had a special GM. We had special coaches. And we had special players along with the best player in the league. That's how I view it. So you can tell whatever story you want to tell. It wasn't very complete, but it did entertain me for a month.
That's all I could do at that point. Which was the first championship more special than the second or third, or were they all kind of the same?
Well, they're all different. The first one's always special. We played the Lakers. We lost the first game in Chicago. We won the second game. We went to LA for 3 games, and people were talking about it was going to be a sweep. It's going to be a sweep. And they were right. It was a sweep. We swept them out there, won our first championship. So it was a great time. It's a great time for my family. My wife Sherry and I they were waiting for me in Chicago. It was a great time for my kids. I have 4 kids. Special time for them. Special time for my family in Sacramento. My mom and dad. All those people I had spent time with and grew up with. It touched really everybody. So I was really just very, very fortunate to be part of that team and part of that organization. And it only took, 11 years to get there to win the championship. So it was great.
But you got there. That's all that matters now.
You got there and then some, and then some.
We got there and then some. Well, Mr. Bill Cartwright, it's absolutely an honor having you on the KO'D Convo. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you. You did a great job. And, if you get the opportunity, come back over and hopefully our USF Dons, they're doing a great job all over our sports, baseball, soccer, all of them, golf, basketball. I see them all. It's great to go see them, watch them compete. It's a lot of fun. As of right now, our Dons basketball team, I think our first game is going to play. We're going to be in Nebraska. What are we doing in Nebraska? We're going to Nebraska to play. I'm going. So I'm just really looking forward to everything getting back to normal, and trying to have some fun.